But when the children come along, they connect you in a weird way, in a very unexplainable way, back to your own self. It's almost like living your life again. It's reminding yourself of your own childhood.
How are you so passionate about parenting that you have started a show? And what would I miss in life if not being a dad? How to bond with a teenage son or daughter? How to get involved in their life better? Do you believe in work-life balance?
So when I became a dad, I realized what I didn't want to do. I was very clear, which was to be the same mysterious, aloof figure to my kids. No matter how you prepare, you feel like your whole life is gone and you're embarking on a new journey. So just take the moment, soak in that moment. Men do feel feelings, men do have emotions. So when children see their dads experiencing a whole range of emotions, not just strength, but also times of challenge and struggles, it makes them okay to feel those range of emotions. None of us are perfect parents. There's nothing called perfection in parenting. We wake up every day to another day of imperfection. And what a beauty, what a gift that you get to have on this planet when you brought a life and that human being is looking at you as a father or a mother. And that's the joy of it.
Hey Subhasis.
Hi there.
So we got a bunch of questions both from our close friends as well as some fans from the show. And I'm gonna ask these questions and you give your honest opinion, okay? So first question is, who are you and what are your motivations behind the show?
Yeah, I'm Subhasis. I've been working in the HR space for the last 25 years. I'm a dad, and that's the whole genesis of why I wanted to start this. Ever since I became a parent, I realized that I didn't really have the tools to figure out how I want to do the from the role of a dad, and I started listening to podcasts back in the US in 2011, 2012. The woman who inspired me a lot and then sort of taught me invisibly is a woman named Janet Lansbury. And I started listening to her podcasts. And actually, my wife teed up this podcast for me, my wife Vinny. And I just started soaking up all the parenting tools for a newborn. And then it became newborn to toddler, toddler to young child. And when I moved back to India, I thought that how cool it would be to hang out with other dads and sharing our journeys and kind of talking about parenting just with dads. And I realized that this can be a great way to connect with other dads and learn about parenting. So that was the whole genesis behind the show.
How are you so passionate about parenting that you have started a show? And was there a specific thing that triggered you or something?
Yeah, if I got the question, how am I so passionate about parenting? Yeah, it's hard to answer it in one answer, like through one answer. There are many reasons. I think one big hook or big sort of anchor for me was me growing up in a family with, dad and mom and my sisters. And my dad was a quintessential dad from the 80s. He was the provider and he would go away, and I didn't have a lot of interaction with him. And many times I would secretly want to spend more time with him and get to know him. I knew him as a distant, aloof figure who I looked up to and I was in awe of, but I really didn't really get to know him as who he was as a human being. And secretly there was a gap, and there was always something that was going on and sort of bothering inside me, but I didn't have any tools to approach and want to make that happen. Anyways, that stayed with me. So when I became a dad, I realized what I didn't want to do. I was very clear, which was to be the same mysterious, aloof figure to my kids, to my son who was born first. So that was that. And I think my parenting style just embodies how my mom raised me, which was a lot of communication, a lot of empathy, a lot of compassion, a lot of care and nurturing. And I don't think I do it consciously. I just do it organically. I'm very, very nurturing and I'm connecting and I'm emotionally tapped into, tuned into my children. And that's just how what informs my parenting style. And I realize that it's a big part of who I grew up and who I have become is a big part of how my mom and my dad raised me. And I wanted to do that.
Nice. This is a question from a friend. What would I miss in life if not being a dad?
Wow, what a question. So, what would I miss in life if I wasn't a dad? First of all, I think everyone has their own journey, so everyone's life is unique. So, if someone's choosing not to be a dad, I totally respect that. I can tell you how I felt being a dad. And other than the joy of having a child, having a new life, being responsible to bring a new life to this planet, which is one of the very, very few things that you are reminded of the magic of the universe, the way that we don't seem to understand what the universe is. This is one of the ways in which it comes to life. You can create a lot of things yourself. You can build a car, and you know how to build a car. You can fly wherever you want, but how you are in part of the process of creating a life, it's just magical. It's just a lot of things are unanswered. And I think when you have that, when you see the newborn, your child, come to this world, that's one of the very few moments, just for me, where the magic of the universe plays out in real life. So that's one. And I don't know if there's anything else that I can compare this with that can equate to that experience. The second thing is we grow up as human beings and we go through our life until we have children. And a lot of who we are gets forgotten because we're going on this journey of life. We're learning, we're moving along, we're making choices, we're living our lives. But when the children come along, they connect you in a weird way, in a very unexplainable way, back to your own self. It's almost like living your life again. It's reminding yourself of your own childhood. Your child will do something and that will just weirdly remind you of a little quirk that you had when you were a little child. They'll move when they're sleeping. For example, my son, when he was like a couple of months old, or maybe a little bit more, maybe a year old, one day I noticed he had slid his hands underneath the pillow. And I'm like, wow, how did this guy do it? Because I always sleep with my hands underneath my pillow. And that reminded me of my own childhood. And I called my wife, look at this guy. He's doing exactly what I've done my whole life. So these are little moments that just bring your own childhood to life and reconnect you in a very, very magical, mysterious ways. And that's one of the other thing that I think you can think about how, the experience of being a dad. I mean, there are millions of things, but there's a couple of things that have come to my mind.
Nice. So this is a straightforward question. So Subhasis, what's your profession? What do you do for a living?
Yeah, it's a straight up question. Yeah, in short, I'm an HR professional. I've been in human resources for the last 25 years. I've been in HR leadership roles for the last 20 years. I was heading HR for Disney in India and a bunch of global HR roles at Disney and Target and Amazon. I'm in the middle of a career break now, but my last role was to lead talent acquisition or recruiting for Amazon's entertainment business for Asia.
Nice. So tell us one revelating thing that you discovered from one of our guests during the shoot.
Yeah, one thing that stood out in all the conversations with the dads in the last year and a half, one common thing is how less men get to talk about their emotions in real life and how much I saw them enjoy being able to share their stories and their journeys with me in the excuse of a parenting podcast. So as much as they were sharing their journey as dads, I could also see how much they were sharing and how much they were connecting as just human beings. That's one thing that stood out for me across all the dads. And that's one of the reasons why I feel that the space is even serving another purpose of other than being a place where dads can share their stories, is for men to connect with each other. But a couple of other interesting things happened, during the show. One of my close friends, who I've known for the last 20 years, and I thought I knew him really well until he came on the show and he shared a very, very, moving, emotional, traumatizing memory of his life when he was sexually abused as a child in school. I had no idea that he went through this traumatic experience as a child, and we both ended up crying when he shared this, and it was happening live, and that's just one of the most profound moments during the short life of this show. And I know that he didn't prepare, he hadn't planned on doing it, and that's the beauty of you having an authentic and just sort of unplanned conversation when things come out and you end up sharing. And I thought that was a beautiful moment. The other thing that I realized, one of the other interesting moment that happened when I was talking to another guest who almost choked up talking about his mom growing up, and he saw his beautiful postcard-like family getting disrupted by alcoholism. His mom was suffering from alcoholism, and his dad was also suffering from the same, and how his almost postcard-like life disintegrated right in front of him and threw him into a path of uncertainty and unpredictability and a lot of struggles and challenges as a child. There's a happy ending to the story, but that came up in this conversation. I thought it was profoundly moving and showed a lot about who he is as a human being, and how he has channeled all the tragedies and the difficulties of his childhood in a really positive way to try and become a great dad for his children.
Good to hear. So we heard that you took a sabbatical. Why? And was it worth it?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of one, so it's not done yet. And I don't even know if I want to call it a sabbatical. I am in the middle of a career break. We can call it anything we like, but I've been wanting to take a break for a while, and that moment came just a few months back. I've never done this in my life, which is not have a job to hold on to or to define myself with. So it's been an interesting, exciting, nerve-wracking, scary, very, very energizing, and in many ways rolled into one. My top of the mind reaction is that I'm glad I'm doing it, and I would recommend this to every other person out there who have been wanting to do it. If you've been working for a long time and there are a lot of things that get piled up inside your head, inside your heart. Life goes by, you're a dad, you're a mom, and you have a job, you have so many responsibilities, and a lot of those little nudges that pop up inside your heart or head just gets pushed behind. If you create a little space for yourself, a blank space, if you can afford to, if you have the opportunity to, then you have the space to go back to those little nudges, those little thoughts that, I wish I could learn some music, or I wish I could have a unbridled, unconstrained conversation with my sister, or I could visit that place, or I could think about something which I'm deeply passionate about without the constraint of the time running out on me. So I've been enjoying exploring those spaces. Who knows where this is led to? But overall, I'm feeling absolutely liberated about this blank space, and I'm excited about what's to come. But I'm grateful that I'm able to have this space.
Great. So this is an extension on the previous question. Who have been your guests in last 1.5 year, and why did you choose them specifically?
Yeah, I've had a real diverse range of guests. My short answer is that there's no method, there's no science behind who the guests have been. The only tenet that I've applied is I know that they're involved and passionate about their roles as fathers, dads in their families. So that's one thing that I always look at in who I want to talk to in this show, because this show is all about being involved dads. But other than that, I've had folks who are my manager who lives in the UK. I've had another guest who is my neighbor, who's a German, who was raising his kids with his wife in Bangalore. I've had another HR leader from the industry, our last guest, Amir, who took a sabbatical to take care of his newborn when his wife was going back to work. I've had guests who's a entertainment TV show producer who I know for a long time. And I've had guests who are from India, not in India. They're Indians who didn't live in India for a long time, who are not Indians but who live in India. I've had a teacher who lives in Bangalore, who's an American, lived around the world. So yeah, I've had a diverse range of fathers. And that's what makes this very, very interesting. There's a common story of fatherhood, but told through the lens of very, very diverse life experiences and stories.
Nice. I have an add-on question. Who would you like to see in next episodes? What kind of guests you're planning to get?
Yeah, I'm just excited about what kind of possibly what kind of guests that we can have on this show. I'm curious about, again, going on the theme of diversity, having dads come from all walks of life. Single dads who are raising their children themselves, or for that matter, single moms who also have to perform the role of a mom and a dad. I'm curious about dads who sacrifice a lot of their own comfort, which all dads do, but who are facing insurmountable amount of struggles and financial difficulties to try and create a better life for their children, better education for their children. I'm curious to have fathers who are from different economic strata of the society. I'm curious to have fathers who have a very different life experience, whether it's through the lens of caste, from the underrepresented communities. So yeah, there's vast opportunities for us to have fathers from a wide variety of backgrounds and walks of life.
Cool. Looking forward. So here is one last question for this round, and it's a difficult one. Give me a one-liner description about DadSense podcast.
Yeah, one-liner description about DadSense as a podcast. I would say it's a space where dads can tell their stories and then they learn from each other. Me and the other dads, we all learn together about parenting.
Nice. So we'll jump into the next round because the pace is a little faster.
Yep.
We want you to have your quick thoughts on a bunch of questions we found from the internet and from friends.
Sure.
So first question, what do you suggest, having kids earlier or having kids when they're settled mentally and financially?
When the parents are settled, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think there is one formula for when is the right time to have children. I think the only criteria is when you're ready to have children, or when you and your partner are on the same page about having children or becoming parents. If it's early, if it works early for you, great. If it's late, it's great. It's just beautiful to bring children to the world. The important factor is you are there, you are willing, you are keen, you are passionate, and you are ready to invite another life to your life, and you and your partner potentially, and that's the biggest criteria.
Nice. What's the impact fathers have on their child?
Yeah, it's a great question. What's the impact fathers have on their children? That's the journey, and I'm still learning and I'm still figuring it out. I can tell a few things on the top of my head. I think fathers have a special space in kids' lives. As I was looking at my own dad, it's important for your dad, for you to feel seen by your father, because you're always trying to do things and you want to be seen by both your mom and dad. It feels different when your mom acknowledges you, your mom validates you. It feels different when your dad validates you. For example, in my case, I was just craving for my dad to validate me. I don't know if that happened enough. So that's a space that dads can do. Dads can also show their emotional side. A lot of times, kids take a lot of cues from their fathers and mothers. Now, for whatever reasons, moms, I might be sharing a bit of a gender stereotype, but for most part, it's true. But our kids, we as kids, even to a lot of extent, our kids don't see a lot of soft side to their parent dads, the emotional side, the vulnerable side, where they're seeing their dad saying it's okay or asking how you're feeling, because again, as men, from the traditional identity of masculinity, we're supposed to be strong, we're supposed to be unruffled, but we also feel. Men do feel feelings, men do have emotions. So when children see their dads experiencing a whole range of emotions, not just strength but also times of challenge and struggles, it makes them okay to feel those range of emotions. When they see their dads express their strength but also express their struggles, it makes them okay to do the same. So there's a lot of interesting ways in which dads can play a really powerful role in the holistic growth of a child.
Nice. So, next question: how to bond with a teenage son or daughter? How to get involved in their life better?
Yeah, that's a fascinating question. The question is how to bond and how to engage with a teenage son and a daughter. And we, as parents, I as a dad, we're right in the cusp of doing that. My son's turning 13 this month, so he's literally entering the age of the teenage years this month. So I have no idea how to master this, but I'm already feeling the change in him. So the principles, the rules, the rituals that worked for him when he was 6, 7, 8, 9, I can feel that they're no longer going to be effective because he's coming on his own as a human being, as a young man. And I can see his physical changes, I can see his emotional changes, a lot of need for an independence, a lot of need for his opinion, a lot of adrenaline, a lot of chemicals going on in his body. I don't claim that I understand all of that. In fact, I don't understand a whole lot of that. My sense is that we have to shift the paradigm, we have to shift the way we engage as dads and moms. And I'm sure there's a lot of parents who are raising teenage children or who are ending or on the other side of raising teenage children can vouch for me. It takes for a lot of emotional resilience, I feel like, to have debates, to have healthy debates. Gone are those times I feel like when I can tell him something and he'll listen to it. For most part, most likely he might challenge me. And it's not easy to face that challenge because until now you see him as a little kid and he was listening to you. So we have to brace up for him to become almost a semi-adult where he is debating with you and you have to create the space and the respect so that he feels like he's being acknowledged as an independent young man.
Nice. So now the next question needs your HR hat as well.
Okay.
Do you believe in work-life balance?
Yeah, do I believe in work-life balance? That's a $1 billion question where the world is grappling with, more so after the pandemic. Balance, as we know, is a much maligned word. It's very, very, if not impossible, very difficult to strike a balance. Balance means 50-50. It's very difficult. It's almost impossible. So one of the things that we did at Amazon, and I'm quoting from my previous employment at Amazon, is work-life harmony. How do we synchronize? How do we harmonize work and life? Sometimes work takes over, sometimes life takes over, and work is life. It's not like you leave your life behind when you go to work. So it's all about what is important to you and how important that day to you is. Some days you have a big performance of your child in school. If your son is performing in the school, he's playing a big football match, or your daughter is performing in a concert, your son's performing in a concert, and you want to be there. So maybe that day you've planned ahead in advance and you've told your work or yourself that I'm going to prioritize my child's performance or a soccer game or a concert, and I go there. One day you have a huge meeting for which you have to prepare. So that day you've told your family that I'm going to be needed at work. I'm not going to be able to go pick up my daughter. So you plan for it. And then many times there are collisions where there are two important things happen. And it's very difficult to strike a balance. So you have to prioritize, and you may have to sacrifice one, and that's what life is. And each day, each month, each week, you have to constantly dance the dance. And hopefully, if you have prepared your stakeholders, whether it's family, your partners, your children, or your team members, your managers, hopefully you are able to navigate this $1 billion question well.
Nice. So, is there any material out there for dads to follow or to be prepared for parenting journey?
Yes, there's tons of material to follow and to learn from parenting journey. There's a lot of podcasts now, as I mentioned. I can't quote a dad's podcast, of course. DadSense is there, but I've been following for dads and moms of young children. Janet Lansbury's podcast Unruffled is still a classic. She teaches a lot about respectful parenting, which I believe in, and conscious parenting. That's one resource I have leaned on heavily. I've not read a lot of books, but I think it's important for other dads to network and form a community of other fathers in which you can share and learn from each other. Because I found that valuable, because you can struggle a lot with simple tools and resources. Your child's not, being very cranky, your newborn, or your toddler is getting really restless in public places. How do you handle all those things? You can just learn a lot by asking other dads and moms. And I'm not saying just form communities with other dads, but you can also talk to other moms. And having a solid partnership with your partner, your wife, or your life partner, your girlfriend, who you're sharing co-parenting, having a really strong partnership with your life partner is a big one.
Nice. So, what's your parenting style? Are you an involved parent or you just swoop in whenever it's required?
I think of myself as an involved dad. I try to stay absolutely involved on a day-to-day basis throughout the whole year, throughout all the months, for selfish reasons. One is I do want to be a part of my kids' lives, and I try to not get super micromanager dad, being a micromanaging dad, but I try to be involved and I'm around. So being present, being around, I know it's a cliched word, is a big part of my parenting journey, and I try to be around. I try to be present. For example, I try to be at dinner every night, my whole parenting journey, unless I'm traveling, unless there's a serious need for me to be away. We try to be there for dinner because dinner is a very, very sacred ritual that we have when we come together and look at how the day has gone by. Me and my wife share bedtime duties even till date. So one day she will take the kids to bed, the other night, I take the kids to bed. So if we're both in town, we definitely alternate. So I'm definitely taking them to bed once every 2 nights. And I find, again, that's a very sacrosanct time for me to spend just the last few minutes of the day with my children, because that's when they're sort of winding down. When you're going to bed, you're sort of raw, you're just yourself. There's no pretense, there is no posturing. And I feel that's a very, very intimate, raw, and human moment to spend with your children before they tuck them to bed. And when they wake up, again, it's a very pristine time when they're waking up, and just, having those few minutes with them. And I actually do breakfast for them every day. That's my part. So the starts of the day, the dinner, the bedtime, these are very, very important rituals. And the weekends spend a lot of time together. Yeah, I think of myself as a pretty involved dad.
Good to hear. So, one last question. What should be one or two things that a new or soon to be dads be prepped for?
Yeah, what are the couple of things that soon-to-be dads should be prepped for? I think big parts for soon-to-be dads to be prepped for is just to go through the birth of your baby and really taking care of your life partner, whether it's your wife or girlfriend, your life partner. She is going through a lot. It's going to be 13 years since our son came to this earth, and I still vividly remember the months and the weeks and the days leading up to my son's birth. And my wife Vinny was, she was getting very, very tired, and very, very intense emotions and physical changes leading up to the birth. So the first thing is be absolutely present for your wife or your life partner, and just make sure that she's feeling your presence, because that eases her a lot. And then also getting into your space and your zone about welcoming a new life. So making sure that you are absolutely in that space and not encumbered by any other thoughts. That's the single biggest priority you have, to welcome a new life to this world. So being completely in that zone will help you open up to this big life-changing moment that's about to hit you. And once the baby comes, no matter how you're prepared, you feel like your whole life is gone and you're embarking on a new journey. So just take the moment, soak in that moment, the beauty and the magic of the moment, and then making sure that you are there, not just for the baby, but for your wife and for your family. And more importantly, just take out some time for yourself, because it's very easy to just slip into work mode and to slip into this overwhelming, profound event that has occurred in your life, and you forget to sleep or take care of yourself in terms of food and rest. So take that hour or two just to make sure that you're physically and emotionally nurturing and filling yourself up back, and then going back to this new world that has come upon you.
Nice. Anything else you want to share to DadSense audience?
Yeah, I want to thank all the audience, all the listeners, and all the folks who are watching us and being a part of this journey, from the very first audience who got us started in this journey in May of 2023. A deep, deep sense of gratitude. This was just sort of a seed of an idea I'd been carrying in my head for the last so many years. So I'm deeply thankful. I'm deeply thankful that you have listened and watched, and hopefully hopefully it has helped you in some ways, even if it has made you laugh or made you connect, or if you found it just a little distraction from your life. In any ways that you've spent some time and it has helped you, I'm deeply thankful. And that's the whole purpose of this effort. Along with me being passionate about this topic, I'm hoping that it touches you and it helps you in some little ways. And I'm also equally excited about your own parenting journey. What I would like to share is that don't be too harsh on yourself. None of us are perfect parents. There's nothing called perfection. There's nothing called perfection in parenting. We wake up every day to another day of imperfection. But my hope is that you are being kind and you're proud of what you're doing, and just wake up to another day to the beauty of the fact that a little life or a children, there are other human beings on this planet who call you dad and moms. And what a beauty, what a gift that you get to have on this planet when you brought a life and that human being is looking at you as a father or a mother. And that's the joy of it, and that's the gratitude of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.